I'm just going to briefly go over why I'm having you guys do this, and then even give you some examples of other types of websites that students have created. So the last segment is titled Curatorship, and as you see here, the purpose is to create a public-facing portfolio site for the purposes of professionalization, right? So as I'm writing in the above text, getting you to think about how the documents you create for school can actually work for you by being able to share them publicly, which might be, terrifying on your part, but could also be very, very appealing for future employers and can help you kind of position yourself and professionalize yourself in a specific field, specifically if you're going into technical and professional writing, but not necessarily just that. So being able to kind of house all the documents you're creating in school as opposed to just getting rid of them is of course something that you want to think about. So there are essentially four things that you will be doing for this last segment. The first is to create a WordPress site. So as I note above, being able to think about your WordPress site in terms of the design as also doing part of the communication work. So choose a template that fits your professionalization in your field. Second, craft a resume. So if you already have an existing resume, just revise it, update it in light of what we learned. I just want you to have it up there again for easy finding. So be sure to, of course, not include your personal address or phone number or anything that you don't want because it will be publicly available online. So do be sure to redact or get rid of information that you don't want publicly available. And I want you to upload the resume to the actual site itself. And then, of course, curating documents. So the museum image here is just a metaphor of curation, which is the kind of theme of this segment, which is you're selecting documents or you're selecting artifacts that you want the public to view in order to provide some sort of impression on them. So that's where that analogy kind of comes from. So you don't have to choose all four of the segments that we have done. If you just want to choose two or three, that's fine, but you need at least a minimum of two. And then the last written part of the semester is where you will compose a reflection, where I'm going to ask you to reflect on the changes that you have undergone both conceptually and practically in terms of writing, right? And be sure to provide concrete examples to support that point. So if you're making an argument or a point that that your perception or practice of some aspect of writing has changed, providing some sort of example about, in segment 2 I did this and then I changed to this or something like that is always good to provide evidence and concrete examples of your reflection. So now I kind of want to go over some examples of some portfolios that students have done just to kind of get your mind working about kind of what I'm thinking of. So these are actual portfolios that were done by students in a class that's 334 or similar class. You can see here, you have the About section. That's great. And then you have along the main navigation menu at the top, you have, clearly they did different projects than you guys did, but having a specific page for each one could be an option, or you can have drop down, have like just kind of a projects or documents menu and then drop down and then have users select that way. I would suggest that you get rid of kind of extraneous, they're called in WordPress, if you're familiar, widgets, right? So those are these on the right-hand side, the bottom right-hand side, like the calendar and the search bar that are kind of default. So if you want to get rid of those, then it shows that you're kind of paying attention to it and you're kind of cleaning up the extraneous elements to it. And obviously be sure to choose a relevant header photo if you choose a design or template that has a header. So you can see here Robert chose to have a person's hand with a pen and paper, obviously very relevant to writing. You see here, here's another one, depending upon, choose what is specifically relevant for that. So this person chose to do an old style pen because they thought that was particular to their interest in rhetoric. Again, on the bottom left, we have an issue with kind of archives and stuff like that. Relevant or irrelevant widgets kind of get rid of. Here I'm highlighting the, a quote that would be relevant. So if you want to personalize it that way, you certainly can. This is another student. She was in science, so you could see she chose a background photo that is very relevant to her professionalization. Right, you want to match the aesthetic of the portfolio with the actual direction you are going with professionalization. Here's another example of how someone did a portfolio as one menu item, and she had contact pages, and then she just did a menu like that, where you could just kind of scroll down and find the piece that way, right? I'll also direct you to the attention of, you have a chance to do a subheading if you want to have a little catchphrase or something that is indicative or explanatory of what's going on in the portfolio. That could work as well. Again, here you're choosing a design that's relevant to you. This one, she chose to have a photo. Again, another photo. And then if you have multiple classes, you can do it that way, right? So this student chose to do it separated between technical writing and digital writing. So if you've taken 3 or 7, or if you have a portfolio for another class that you already have stuff, that could be a useful way to merge it. So those are just some examples of the portfolio site. Again, the purpose is for professionalization. So really, it's entirely dependent upon what you want to do after college, or if you have already been working and want to go back into the specific field of your choice, then certainly you could do that. So again, the purpose here is just to create a public-facing portfolio site for the purposes of professionalization. So what I'll be looking for is not necessarily your absolute technical expertise or aesthetic expertise in WordPress, but the decisions you're making about what it means to create a space where you're kind of putting all your work up there as a way to kind of show and to professionalize. So just a final note, thank you all for a great semester. This image here is taken from, obviously, the first page of the syllabus. The metaphor I was going with was some sort of toolbox or some sort of tools, right? I wanted to provide you with as many tools as possible for you to succeed in whatever writing environments that you'll find yourselves in. So we did cover specifically the field of technical writing and the principles and practices of technical writing, of course, because of the nature of the course itself. But I do hope for those of you who are kind of pursuing other career goals or were taking this class for different reasons, that you are able to kind of get useful writing tools with you, whether it's document design or just kind of exercises in concision or whatever it is, that you are able to kind of take it forward. So again, thank you all for a great semester. I do have an office on the 5th floor of BAL. I teach a variety of different classes. If you want to reach out for any sort of advising or advice on how to move forward in the field of professional and technical writing, feel free to reach out. I have